Hey everybody, welcome in. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. And I'm going to try in a second. Yeah, hopefully I'm live. I'm going to try to do the live stream of this David Sachs event, which could be a momentous occasion in the world of crypto and the US and Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and the Sovereign Wealth Fund and so much more. But it also could be a nothing burger. And I tend to err on the side that these things often are seldom news events. So if they don't go live, it doesn't matter. I'm here and I'll answer questions in the meantime too, what it could all mean. But there's a lot of really crazy news out there with the number of states that are looking to stack Bitcoin, looking to pay staff in Bitcoin. We have a lot of action happening all around the world at the same time in different countries. So either way, I do think 2025 will still shape up to be a very, very good year. But we have to see how it goes. So I am tuning in here to wait to see if these folks go live. And when that happens, I will pop back. But in the meantime, I'm going to take some questions. So come at me, hit me. So Sachs, a lot of questions regarding David Sachs. Who is David Sachs? Well, David Sachs is one of the legendary VCs from Silicon Valley. He has been on the All In Pod for a long time. And he has a holding of Solana, and he owns a lot of multicoin capital as a proxy for his crypto investments. He's very aware of all things AI, all things crypto, has been in the space for a long time. Everyone wants to know about MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy, yeah, beard is gone. I wanted to see if I had a face underneath. Yeah, I do. I just take it off every now and again to make sure there's nothing living under there. Anyhow, I'm back. MicroStrategy, interesting one. In fact, Saylor just admitted he didn't buy anything last week. They were in hodl mode. I will show the latest hodl allocations. Marathon's still top of the list. Semler has jumped into second spot, and MicroStrategy is the third. Where we go again. Oh, I hear noise. Hang on.
To be here, to be invited to Capitol Hill here to speak alongside such distinguished leaders from both the House and the Senate. I want to thank Chairman Tim Scott, Chairman French Hill, Chairman John Bozeman, and Chairman G.T. Thompson. So thank you all for your leadership and commitment to addressing some of the most important opportunities of our time in ensuring that the U.S. remains at the forefront of innovation and digital assets. The president said in his executive order in the first week that it's the policy of his administration to support the responsible growth and use of digital assets, blockchain technology, and related technologies across all sectors of the economy. And he established an executive branch working group for digital assets, which includes Secretary Besson at Treasury, Secretary Noem, soon to be confirmed Attorney General Bondi, Secretary Lutnick at Commerce, and all the other key administration officials that have an equity in crypto. And similarly, the SEC has set up a crypto task force led by Hester Peirce, which is also looking at this issue. And together, our objective is to accomplish the task the president assigned for us in his EO, which is to propose a federal regulatory framework governing the issuance and operation of digital assets, including stablecoins, in the United States. I've talked to many founders over the past few years, and they've told me repeatedly that the number one thing they need from Washington is regulatory clarity. They just want to know what the rules of the road are so they can abide by them. We're coming off, frankly, 4 years of arbitrary prosecution and persecution of crypto companies where the SEC wouldn't tell founders what the rules were, but then they would prosecute them. And many founders have even told me stories of being debanked personally just because they had founded a crypto company. All of this approach was driving this important technology of the future offshore, and we want to keep that innovation onshore in the US. Financial assets are destined to become digital, just like every analog industry has become digital, and we want that value creation to happen in the United States rather than giving it away to other countries. This will also, I should add, be much better for consumer protection because it's easier for regulators to supervise an activity when it's onshore. And it's probably not a coincidence that the single biggest fraud in the history of crypto, which was FTX, was based in the Bahamas. By moving the innovation onshore, it'll be easier to separate out the good actors from the bad actors. And we want to encourage the good actors, the innovators, while protecting the market from the bad actors. And I think a market structured legislation with clear definitions and fair rules will do that. I want to say additionally, we're excited about working with both the House and Senate on stablecoin legislation. I know Senator Hagerty introduced a bill today. This stablecoins really have the potential to ensure American dollar dominance internationally, to increase the usage of the U.S. dollar digitally as the world's reserve currency, and in the process create potentially trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. treasuries, which could lower long-term interest rates. So let me stop there, and I want to thank the chairman here today, Chairman Scott, Chairman Hill, Chairman Bozeman, Chairman Thompson, and I look forward to working with them as part of the administration to help turn President Trump's policy into reality. This was a week one priority for the administration, and we're excited that our counterparts in Congress are equally committed to ensuring American dominance in digital assets. I look forward to working with each of you. And with that, I want to say work with each of you in creating a golden age in digital assets. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chairman Scott. Thank you.
I think David represents promises made, promises kept. I love the campaign trail when President Trump was out there making promises, and we see today he's keeping those promises. And in so many ways, I think back to a kid as I was a long time ago, growing up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty, and hoping that the American dream would one day be accessible for me. I think that we're standing here today at the precipice of greatness for so many kids who are looking forward to democratization, having access points for their families and for themselves that makes it easier and less expensive to do business in this country. I love the concept that we see today, synergy within the administration, the House, and the Senate, focusing not on ourselves, but focusing on working class Americans who desperately need to reduce their prices and increase their access. That's what the bicameral working group will help tackle. I have a pre-existing working friendship with GT and French and John. And the good news is we come together already having proven the ability to work together to get things done for the American people. It's an exciting time to be an American. And as David said, the golden age has begun. And the good news is it's going to get better. I'm excited about what we will accomplish for the American people. I'm excited about the synergistic approach that we're taking in the House and the Senate, with the White House leading the way. Next, you'll hear from Chairman French Hill.
Thank you, Chairman Scott, and David Sachs, thank you for coming to Capitol Hill to celebrate with us the fact that in the 119th Congress, we have a bicameral project for both a stablecoins bill and a regulatory framework that will bring clarity to digital assets in the United States so that we are the land of opportunity, the land of innovation that we have been for decades in so many other technologies. We don't want to be behind in financial technology and digital assets in the United States, but our innovators, as David Sachs reported, need clarity. They need to know what the rules of the road are, and that's why I'm excited to be here today to share this announcement that we're forming a working group on a bicameral basis between the House Financial Services Committee, the Senate Banking Committee, the House Agriculture Committee, and the Senate Agriculture Committee to make progress on that clarity for a regulatory framework and to create and structure a stablecoins bill that will lend itself to advancing America as the reserve currency of the world. This is a big issue. Bicameral support this year is dynamic because last year in the 118th Congress, we had success on a bipartisan basis in the House on both stablecoin legislation moving out of the House Financial Services Committee and for the regulatory framework moving across the House floor with a strong bipartisan vote. 71 Democrats joined House Republicans in moving that policy forward. So in my view, with the wind at our back of a leader like President Trump, who knows that financial innovation, financial technology is where America's heart is, where our entrepreneurs' hearts are, that will lead from the executive branch and now with this bicameral partnership with Senate Agriculture and Senate Banking, along with our House committees, I look very, very forward to the success we're going to have in the 119th Congress. And let me ask my good friend from Arkansas, a fellow Razorback, the chairman of the House Ag Committee, John Bozeman.
We're all still excited about the big Kentucky win. So it's good to be with you all. We've been working hard on this for the last 3 years. And we've had our ups and our downs. When we started working on it, crypto was gaining popularity. And then with Sam Bankman-Fried and other things, it seemed like perhaps it was in trouble. It's rebounded, though, and is bigger than ever. So our goal is to make sure that consumers are protected, make sure that the industry, in order for it to grow and be able to offer all of the things that it does offer to the various disciplines that are out there, whether you're a bank or whether you're investing a client's money for their retirement or whatever, you've got protections, there's structure in it, and it will allow the industry itself, because it is regulated, people can have confidence in that, to grow. It's a little different than our normal situations in the sense we've got these jurisdiction things. So I'm the chairman of Ag. Why am I here? Because we have the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. And some assets are commodities, some are securities. So the SEC has jurisdiction over the securities, CFTC has jurisdiction over the other. So the idea that we're working together, again, we've all been working separately. We've made progress over the last several years, but working together now with purpose, and then also having the White House, having the Czar over here, again, to visit with him and really set up a structure so that we can get a final structure to make this thing work is very, very important. So I appreciate Senator Scott, I think, really coming up with that idea. And I think it's a good one, and we're looking forward to actually get some things accomplished in the next several months.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congressman G.T. Thompson, Chair of the House Agriculture Committee. And this is what we're doing today is sort of the next step in what will be a milestone, which will be a great accomplishment for our country. America really was a leader when it came to Internet 1.0, right? It was the Internet of knowledge. And the Internet 2.0, again, it was America that led that for the world, not just for our citizens, but for the world. And that was the Internet of things. And then Internet 3.0 is what we're talking about today, and that's the Internet of value. And we're approaching it in a principled way. My colleagues here mentioned a couple of those. Number one, do no harm. Protect consumers, provide that regulatory structure, that certainty, both for the industry, but quite frankly for the consumers as well. And secondly is foster innovation, because the opportunities are just really are unimaginable. Well, what I believe is that whatever's over the horizon is going to be very, very exciting. So I'm really, well, first of all, just very thankful to President Trump for his historic efforts to bring regulatory clarity to the digital assets markets. His leadership with the work that David Sachs is going to lead on his behalf is going to be a game changer for American competitiveness in the global race to build the new economy. The president could not have picked a better person to helm his AI and digital asset efforts. David brings a wealth of experience in exploring new technologies and building successful businesses to this new role. We've had great conversations, and I know that he is laser focused on bringing certainty to digital asset markets. I want to congratulate my friend, Chairman French Hill. He is the right man to lead the Financial Services Committee in the House at this moment, in this time, and he's a great partner and the type of leader that we need to advance this issue. We worked incredibly well last Congress together alongside Patrick McHenry, and I'm excited to build on that work together. I also want to congratulate our newly elevated Senate colleagues, Chairman Bozeman and Chairman Scott. Perhaps there's no one more pleased than me to be able to say Chairman Bozeman. John and Tim and their members are going to bring a wealth of talent and expertise to this discussion from the Senate majority. We did incredible work in the House last Congress in the 118th, and I'm proud of the efforts that went into our historic vote on Fit 21. I'm equally excited to have these partners and a new administration in place to be able to finish the job. I'm thrilled to lead House Agriculture Committee members as we work with this incredible team to put a bill on President Trump's desk. And I think at this point we're going to be in a position to take a few questions.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to take some questions from the crowd. When you direct your questions, can you please say your name and the outlet you're with? Emily, we'll start with you.
Emily Wilkins, CNBC. Thanks so much for holding this today. I wanted to start off, you're talking about legislation. Can you talk a little bit about Fit 21 last time, the bill that you plan to introduce again? What differences are you going to see now that we have the trifecta in Washington?
Well, thanks, Emily. We did do good work, good, strong bipartisan work on Fit 21, which was the clarity for a market structure bill. That bill, I think, had the basics for the exact bill that we'll propose to introduce again in the 119th Congress. There may be some modest changes, but it had bipartisan support. We did a lot of work in our markup and in the floor preparation for it in both the Ag Committee under Dusty Johnson leadership and G.T. Thompson's leadership, and in House Financial Services. So on the regulatory framework bill, that'll be the approach that the House takes. On stable coins, I think you'll see us have a bill that's very similar to the approach that's been taken in the Senate. Recently, Senator Hagerty's introduced legislation. That bill was closer to the original proposal that Patrick McHenry put in place early in the 118th Congress, and I think you'll see the House expose a draft for stable coins that would be similar to the approach taken by Senator Hagerty. But let me ask GT or to comment or Tim.
So I established this year a digital asset subcommittee so that we could take a deep dive into market structure as well as stable coins. Good news is stable coins led by Bill Hagerty on the Senate side out already today. We've seen Cynthia Lummis as a co-sponsor. Market structure is a place where you have left and right leaning in. We have members from Gillibrand and Lummis working together in the past, now working together in the future, coming to the table to create the framework for the Senate so that we can harmonize Fit 21, the parts that we see as a path forward to a signature into law. So the good news is, from my perspective, having the Digital Asset Subcommittee really working on the market structure at the same time, simultaneously having Bill Hagerty lead the conversation around stable coins, having that bill out for us to take a look at, and there will be an amendment process, will be a part of that for us. And then hopefully, very quickly, we'll see the House, they're working on it as well, so we'll have a legislation that's able to go to the President's desk.
Let me just say, I'm very proud of the work that we did in 118th with Fit 21, and that was done in, you heard others talk about, we had Republicans and Democrats certainly in committee and on the House floor, a significant vote that we achieved, but I like to say we achieved that in a tripartisan way. We worked in bringing the industry, bringing key stakeholders to the table, and so I look forward to, quite frankly, on working with my colleagues here and President Trump to continue that process of refining what we do, whether it's market structures and the other aspects of this bill.
Hi, Brendan Peterson with Punchbowl News. I wanted to ask if you all are thinking about making changes to anti-money laundering law as a part of this push, given the concerns we've heard about banking in the crypto sector and beyond, and the broader concerns about money transmitter licenses and the sensitivities of AML.
Yeah. We're certainly open for discussion. One of the things that the subcommittee will take a look at is the whole playing field. I mean, at the end of the day, to get all of our members on board, we're going to have to be open to comments and thoughts on the issue. I think we're in a good place. The Bank Secrecy Act is something that we've discussed with the other side. They have a focus on it. I think that the broader conversation should not be about digital assets alone. It's about bad actors doing bad things by any means necessary. And so having that conversation from a panoramic view and not simply from an digital asset perspective is going to be important for us to get to the end of that conversation.
Brendan, I would add, having been the subcommittee chair in the last Congress, and Brian Stiles is going to have that mission this time. He'll do an excellent job, I think, on the market structure bill and the stablecoin bill as it relates to the security aspects of it. We were very sensitive in the 118th Congress about the law enforcement aspects of digital assets, not any different than we are about any other means of transfer of or payment method, whether you're talking about cash or the ACH system or real-time payments. This is an important point. I agree with Senator Scott completely. We'll listen to our members. But in the drafts that we pro-offered last year that, as I say, we had bipartisan support for, they had strict AML standards in them for this digital arrangement for digital assets that are not unlike the requirements out in the analog financial services space. It's why we call the bills fit for purpose, because this is not an intermediated form of finance anymore, and so these laws have to reflect how transactions are conducted. But AML and BSA are important for every member on both sides of the Capitol.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. For both of the stablecoin and the FIT bills last year, I'm just curious this year whether you have any idea of the timeline when you expect to get those worked through Congress, and then also could this ride along anything like the Farm Bill, for instance, given the agriculture connection?
Well, we have to work on getting the Farm Bill. And we're going to do that. Time-wise, I think one of the most important things we're doing now, with every Congress, we have new members that retire or are defeated, and we have new members coming in. So we're starting that now and have started member education. And quite honestly, crypto is not the easiest thing to wrap your mind around. Not everyone comes into Congress with a good, full understanding and a thorough knowledge. And so member education is what our first goal is here. And then how it times up, it is, I think we've shown the ability to be able to move a market structures bill, well, FIT 21 as a whole, out of the House in the past. I think we're probably in a really good position to, when we conclude our work and preparation this time around, to be able to do that. So I don't see this being attached to a farm bill.
Thank you.
Hang on one second.
I would say, if I was thinking about this a little bit, I think what we have is an opportunity to get things done. My theory is the first 100 days of a new administration is important. On the Senate side, my goal is to be as aggressive as possible to achieve an objective of having bills through the Senate in 100 days.
Well, everybody, I'm going to interrupt this a little bit because, hold on a second. These guys are completely tedious, and it's not what we expected by any stretch. I'm going to see if Sachs comes back up and just open it up to some questions before you all get bored to death. Sorry about this. Bitcoin has been super volatile in the meantime. It has been absolutely out of control. We saw it shoot in literally minutes. I got my tabby open here. It's like a $2,000 swing almost. Bitcoin shot up went from 101.8 to 99,000. That's $2,800 swing in a matter of minutes. A lot of people were very hopeful that this would be a big deal, and it's not. So sorry about that. But I do want to summarize what they're saying so far, and also wait to see if Sachs comes back. I'm not tracking the questions right now because they're all legislation questions. What I did pick up from this was they have an advisory council members. Sachs has chosen some people, but they also could have members coming from the outside, maybe the Coinbase of the world, etc. Big focus on stable coins to keep the dollar strong. Oh, Sachs is back. Hold on.
we're here for. And I actually did a session even before the start of this Congress with Speaker Johnson. We did a great sort of open dialogue with members of the House in that case. And I think, part of what we're here to do is provide resources on education. Some of them can be outside advisors, kind of luminaries in the industry, and we're talking to a lot of those people. And then, I'm also available anytime to talk to members about this. It can, crypto can be a esoteric subject, and it is good to explain it, to kind of demystify it, because I think once you understand that, you've kind of got the cryptocurrency itself, like Bitcoin, but then what it really runs on are blockchains, which are just distributed ledgers. It's really a new type of decentralized computing platform, and there's a lot of things that can be built on that computing platform. So in any event, we're happy here to provide those resources to help explain it, both on Capitol Hill and beyond.
Senator Hackett is out with a stablecoin bill today. Given that that's out there and that there's been more consensus.
Okay, let's get back to me. Hopefully you guys can see me back again. So yeah, it's a complete nothing burger as expected. I wrote something 5 hours ago on Patreon, and basically I spoke about the fact that they're probably not going to announce a Bitcoin reserve. That's what everybody expected. Whoa, no sound. Crap. Live TV. What's going on here? So you see, I should be sharing myself, correct? Hang on a second. Bitcoin has been super volatile in the meantime. Wait a second. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. Yeah, I got sound back, so sound is working. But all of a sudden, nothing is basically happening. They did talk about the regulatory framework, focus on stable coins to keep the dollar strong, and for the Treasury to make trillions of treasuries, which is kind of interesting. They also discussed regulatory environment, protection of the consumer, and also proposing policies that could shift oversight from the SEC to the CFTC for commodities-related digital assets. That's Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin is a commodity for all intents and purposes from where I stand anyway. They had these weird people like Haggerty talked about the stablecoin bill and other stuff, killing choke point 2.0, more on stablecoins and safety. And there were hints, possible U.S. sovereign wealth fund, which they discussed yesterday, which Bitcoin, according to Lummis, would be a part. That's really the big news yesterday that we got. But, the crypto people out there are they just want $1 million Bitcoin as quickly as possible. And that's just nature of the game. So I don't see anything really fun happening here with these guys at all. And Sachs is not going to release anything. If he did, he was going to do it at the beginning. But I will, as I promised, open it up. Now, the point is, if the U.S. government was going to announce that they were going to buy a truckload of Bitcoin and then let the rest of the world front run them, that would not be clever. So you got to analyze the game theory behind this. They know what they have to do. They know when they need to do it, but they need to keep it very quiet as they do it. If they were to say, we're going to buy 1 million Bitcoin today, price would go to the moon, and then it'd be impossible for the U.S. to buy 1 million Bitcoin. And I said this morning as well, in my post 4 or 5 hours ago, that David Sachs knows enough about this space to be dangerous. He understands game theory, and they're not going to announce it. And that's where we are. But the point is, regulation is coming. They do want to make it the crypto capital of the world, which is all very positive. And the rest is just usual government, legal, politicking, talking heads, crap like that. Now, getting back to the Bitcoin news, I will do Okta tomorrow morning very early. There's some interesting stuff in there as well, including Saylor didn't buy last week for the first time since early November, which is interesting. He's in hodl mode. And I will talk more about all the different proxies that are out there too as well. CleanSpark came out with production reports. They were pretty good as well. But let me just take some questions. What's on your mind, ladies and gentlemen? Let's get back to talk of where we need to go. Why is nobody asking if there's a reserve directly? Eve, I don't think the audience knows what a strategic Bitcoin reserve is. Tune back in. Why? Is there something happening? Hang on. Let me see if they're... Yeah. Sax is on, maybe. Hold on. Let me plug... I think Sax is coming back. Let me try plug him on again. Hold on.
So one of the things that the president instructed us to do was to evaluate the idea for a Bitcoin reserve, and so that is one of the things. That's one of the first things we're going to look at as part of the internal working group in the administration. So as soon as we get all that set up, we're still waiting for some cabinet secretaries who are on the working group to get confirmed. So we're still in the very early stages of this, but that's one of the first things we're gonna look at is the feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve. I think the concept of the sovereign wealth fund is a little separate, and you have to talk to Secretary Lutnick, or soon to be Secretary Lutnick, about that.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, let me see. Testing, 1, 2, 3. I did hear Sax. Apparently, the stream isn't good at going back and forth. But hold on a second. I want to make sure. The stream isn't good at going back and forth. Yeah. Anyway, Sax did say they are investigating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That's the big news. Let's check on the Bitcoin price as we speak. And it's still doing nothing. It's still going down. They said they're waiting for conferment of some cabinet members that will make this thing happen. Again, it's going to take a while. The government does not move. I always used to joke, moving at the speed of government, which means very, very slow. So that's not going to happen for a while. And maybe they can find a way to get some. So as usual, buy the rumor, sell the news. Classic case in point. Here we are once again. Dump a burger. Say, why are you streaming this crap? Because people asked me to. Everybody asked me to. This is supposed to be Okta right now. Okay? People say, can you stream the Sax thing? And again, I read my post from 5 hours ago. You'll see. So, bring me some questions. I'm not going to... The audio stays on after you switch to Sax. Okay. Anyway, let's ask me a question, guys. Davo1, can PTOS used to trade perps, e.g. Sol short long, Sol USDT? So pair trading on steroids is designed for inverse related assets. So you can go Sol 3x long, Sol 3x short. That's typically what I do. And you do it on Jupiter instead of going to Gate.io or one of these other chains, whatever that one is that has... there's lots of multiples, but it's actually better to perp directly on the exchange. I can't hear Sax. Sounds good. Okay, so I don't know. People are texting me if the sound is good or bad, but we can't hear Sax. Sax is gone. Anyway, it was a nothing burger as we expected. Back to that. But yes, PTOS. But you have to use the tools, configure the tools, use the, I'll tell you the ones that I actually use for Signal. You use Sol 3x long and short on Gate.io. They are the best. The feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve, yes, they are assessing the feasibility. This is something that the guy made part of his campaign, the current president, and they're going to do something. What they do, I don't know. Cynthia Lummis also came out yesterday. They're coming out with a sovereign wealth fund. First time ever the US will have one. It'll have stocks in it potentially. It will have things where the government is involved with different assets, different mobilizations, who knows, a quasi-government entity. You know, if you look at Boeing, for example, half of the revenue Boeing makes is from the government. The stock sucks anyway. It's not a good example, but maybe there's other ones that could be very important to the future of the government. And of course, Bitcoin, Cynthia Lummis said that will be part of the sovereign wealth fund as well. Tomorrow, a lot of movement on Solana. By the way, on Solana, there's an 86% chance that the ETF will be approved this year. Futures are coming in a month or so. And then the ETF will be a foregone conclusion. Sometimes what happens is the whales fill their boots so they can distribute to the ETFs when the time comes. They act like a mini OTC market as well. Investment Eagle. If Tesla goes to 600, why is one thing? Hang on a second. investment. If Tesla goes to 600 year end, is it not a good time to swap some Bitty since it has to go over 150 at least to equal this? Investment Eagle, this is a great question. So important. Let me see if I can actually share my chart, because then we can look at a chart of that live too. So I look at the pair all the time of Tesla and MicroStrategy, and it hit 0.91 this morning. It's probably down lower because Tesla, it's 0.8946. Let me see if I can share this chart. Boom, 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 boom. Bear with me 1 second. So this is really kind of what to look for. Hold on. Screen share. Does this work? Hopefully, yes. So this is kind of the pair trade that I look at for this particular pair. It's been very stable lately, but this is the rampage where there's a massive short squeeze on MicroStrategy. If it was not for it happening in November, I would have sold and moved to Tesla, but I couldn't for tax reasons. I had to wait for long-term capital gains taxes and wait for 2025. So I wasn't able to sell here, and I tried to put in a hedge and I couldn't get an option fill because there's simply too many contracts. But basically, this is what we are looking at and how we should think about this pair. You know, if you see level 3, which is approximately 0.077, that's a good time to basically move positions. And when it gets too high, this is when you go from Tesla into MicroStrategy. But if you're already in MicroStrategy, you're kind of boxed in. And up at the top is when you go from MicroStrategy into Tesla. So we'll wait for those moments and we'll watch this chart very, very carefully. Doom, I'm back. Let me see. Never seen a bunch of time wasters in high government. Oh, hey Rob, you were seeing some of the good guys there. Is that one with the cat, the App Store? I don't know. Thoughts on Nosana's mainnet launch. I'll be talking about that. Nosana's mainnet launch was good, and the cost per million tokens is actually beats Amazon Web Services. So Nosana is coming back. I still hold, by the way. So we'll see. What do you expect from Jason V? What do you expect for Sol following ETF approval? Similar Bitcoin or different? I think initially it takes time for these things to be digested. If the crypto market is going bonkers, Sol ETF will go bonkers too. I think net will be a very good thing. But remember, you got to remember, nearly 70% of all Solana is staked. 28% of all ETH is staked. So it's if you want to grab your hands on a big bag of Solana, it's going to be hard to unravel. So that's a kind of a cool thing. David Hamilton, James, I saw your post on houses on Patreon. Do you think in the long term the house prices will come down given the people will sell illiquid assets for liquid Bitcoin? Yeah, this is a very interesting situation. We have a problem where salaries were not able to keep up with inflation. Real estate does. But now we've got the double whammy where salaries are much lower. The average median salary is much lower than the average median price, and affordability is at an all-time high. For this to be fixed, we need mortgage rates to come down to around 4.5%. Currently in California, they're around 7%. So they need to fall 250 basis points. Then that will enable the people who want to sell and move to be able to sell their homes, because they can list them now, but nobody can afford them. Between 40 and 60% of homes that are in a sales contract fall through because people can't get a mortgage, or they can't afford it, or they don't pass the credit stringent standards of the banks to pay for the mortgage. And the average median wealth now required to buy an average median home is $120,000, which is bonkers. Absolutely crazy. So let me jump into a couple more questions. Market about to tank like a rock. Market has already tanked like a rock. You're a little late there. So if anything, Bitcoin will hover around 99K, 98.5. Just remember where we were a few days ago. Bitcoin fell to 92K, last all the way to 90K just a couple of days ago, which is crazy. So watch for that too. Move scale to the right. All right. James, do you think from Clapso, James, do you think buying the assets that you personally have, which you post on Patreon, would be a good way to start investing as someone who just turned 18? Well, if you're young, like one of the things I'll share tomorrow is some of the very conservative price targets for Bitcoin. By 2030, starts at 300 grand. So you guaranteed, if Bitcoin survives, $300,000 Bitcoin. So that's a 3x from here, not too much. But if you look at something like Tesla, that'll go probably somewhere between $4,000 and $8,000 by 2030. That's a lot more multiple. Now, the bull case for Bitcoin is $1 million by 2030, maybe higher, maybe 1.5 million. So, the idea is to manage risk and return. You're very young at 18. You can take on a lot of risk, but you can also blow up your bag and go back to zero. So the way I kind of see things is when you're starting out, it's like a big curve. When you have very little to lose, you can take on a lot more risk. When you start getting to the middle wealth area, you have a bag, you have security, you don't want to lose that, so you take on less risk. And then when you make even more money, you can take on more risk again. So remember, risk when you have nothing and risk when you have a lot, not too much risk when you're in the middle. So think about that during your life as you go forward. That's the way I look at things. And I'll give you another example that if you have family and kids and responsibilities and overhead, you're going to have to take a very safe job and watch every penny you have, etc. So we'll see. Vadia 2000, do you think altcoin holders have hope? Interesting. Alt season has happened in different areas at different times. I still think Solana's trading at a PE of 30, which is silly cheap. And yeah, I think there will be an alt season. There always is. How dramatic it'll be will depend. I also believe that if all the strategic Bitcoin reserves come, and the pensions come, and the nation states come, etc., Bitcoin is going to be very scarce, and it could do very well. It could continue to outperform. That's why I'm very heavy in things like Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. But we'll see. Remember, alts are very expensive, and 99.5% of them are complete garbage. Does James invest in some de-aging tech today? He looks younger. Yes, a razor blade. Shaved to make sure my face. Wintermute flushing again. Exactly, Sergey. Very good observation. Wintermute is doing the flush because what they do is they wait for a piece of macro bad news. And then they wait for the market just to tick down a little bit. And then they pile on and they drive it down. They drive it down hard. So let's see. Ali Shahabi, would you buy CleanSpark at this price? 30% shorted before earnings and Bitcoin up 30K since last report. Miners are super risky. I did look at their performance returns this morning. They mined, I think, about 636 Bitcoin, and they're over 40 exahash. So they're actually doing pretty good. I still believe they are the leanest, meanest miner, but all miners are killing themselves. I'll talk about that in Okta tomorrow, how the hash rate is at another new all-time high. It is crazy. So all they're all doing is cutting each other's throats. So it's tough to see how you go forward. Linda, thank you for coming as well. I was $1 away from losing it all on my Sol perp. When do you think Sol will break 230 again? I mean, last weekend. Let's check the chart. This has been a violent one. Let me pop this up so we can kind of get a feel for what's going on. Oh, that's a big dip on Sol too. Hold on. See if I can share this chart. Share screen. Is that sharing? Yeah, I hope so. So let's look at a couple of things. Let's go out. Let's zoom out to the 4 hour to get a good macro perspective of where we are. And let's let's turn this off and look at the confluence model. And let's go into the 1 hour. Try to get a better vision of where we're going. So pretty clearly from here, if I draw a little line, excuse my crude drawing, but what you can see here is a pretty good level of support. So if you see Sol anywhere down around 180, it's a no-brainer to buy. It just bounces off that. Up here, it was very overbought. Let's go to the 15-minute. See, well, the sell signal happened earlier. And then the 5-minute is what I used to use for perping a lot until everybody gets smashed. So if you're on the 5-minute chart, it's very volatile. And what I like to do is watch what the market is doing, and that tells you a window of where things are going. But this is so manipulated. This is so dumped on by market makers. It's really difficult to play. If you are in a big perp, anything more than 5x, you will be hunted. If you're only moving like less than 100 sol around, they don't care. But if you are in a big position, they'll come and hunt you out. So this is interesting. Just looking where we are right now. There's another interesting factor is during the week, crypto sucks. And normally it moves at the weekends unless it's very bad macro news. Like DeepSeek, like tariffs, which happened the last 2 weekends. They smashed our weekends. Normally weekends are positive. But during the week, things kind of suck a little bit too. So we'll see what happens. I think the market just needs to digest this stuff. I think what Sachs said regarding the reserve that will be analyzed is exactly what we expected. And they'll have to move fast. If they announce to the world that they're building a Bitcoin reserve, the price of Bitcoin will go to the moon. From Renaissance Gamer, any chance that MicroStrategy switches to FASB rules? I think possibly. If not this quarter, I think the earnings are out tomorrow or something, or the day after. If not, then next quarter for sure. It's too much gravy to leave on the table. And that will wake up the world to the power of Bitcoin and earnings. But remember, it's also a double-edged sword. So if Bitcoin goes back to $70,000, they'll have a horrible report for a quarter on losses marking to market. Hi, James. Thanks for the work you do. What do you think of Sol centralization in terms of usage? Centralizing companies like AWS or Google Cloud for validation purposes. That's not the way it works. The validators are all over the country. The place that has concentration for centralization is Ethereum. They are all on AWS and Google Cloud. Right now, per the data I look at, Solana is actually far more decentralized. You need to take over, I think, 1,600 or 1,800 validators to control Solana, but you can do that with 3 networks on Ethereum now as well. Let me see. Blah, 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 blah. That's not going to have a $70,000 Bitcoin. So the reason MJBO123, the reason I say $70,000 Bitcoin is because when you take the Bitcoin price right before the presidential election, which is $70,000, Bitcoin never falls below that price ever again. Okay, so that's the floor. $70,000 is the floor unless something really, really bad happens. If history repeats. So 70,000, that's why it's magical. Clovado, I was like 20 cents away from getting liquidated on my Solana for a second for Sunday. I bought more Solana to add with a 2x leverage to lower my liquidation point. Luckily, I closed in profit. That's exactly what you do. Don't let the liquidators get you. Add more, even add a 1.1x just to reduce your liquidation level. Right now, with Solana, even though 180 is the floor, I wouldn't perp unless I'd had a liquidation level down around 150, 160. So that's just me, though. Where do you eventually see Neptune going to in months and years? It's so difficult to look at Neptune. Let me pull up the ARB model. Let me see if I can share this. I have view only mode. They should be. Hold on. Let me share. Boom. Is that working? Hope that's working. So this is Neptune. You can see I'm not logged in, which is good. Where they are now is SpaceX is about 16.9% of their bag, 61% Bitcoin, 11.7% Sol, and the NAV premium is about 2.4x. But a lot of people are playing this for SpaceX exposure, which is an important thing to have, especially with this current administration, because who knows? There'll be less working with Boeing to strand pilots in space, and they might much more working with SpaceX. So it could be good, and the future is extremely bright, especially with Starlink. I mean, Starlink is now running on over 300 aircraft around the world, all the big, best airlines. For the first time ever, you can now go on an airplane and you can send an email. You can even do a Zoom call. Heaven forbid anybody would do that, but it's going to be huge. That's the big play here for Neptune, which I think is fascinating. They should get rid of the other trash, but I do like this bag. If I had to pick one, Sol, Bitcoin, SpaceX. The reason I own Neptune is for SpaceX exposure. I find it to be the best. And instead of imagine you're buying 17% of SpaceX in a portfolio. I don't have to own 83% of crap. Okay, over 90% of this bag is Sol, Bitcoin, and SpaceX, which I like. So that's why I'm good with it, even if there is a premium. Do you expect Jupiter Perps to get better at filling orders? Yeah, I did a video on how to get your Jupe orders filled. You just got to play with the actual validator. Let me try and pull it up, and I'll show you what to do. Actually, I'm not even on this, but you got to play with the validator. Your RPC endpoint, I go with Helios RPC1 because you can get filled at 90 milliseconds, and then turn up your slippage a bit, and then you always get a fill. Okay. You pay to play. If you go in chintzy, you'll be boxed out. I don't play any of the MicroStrategy leverage funds at all. Lack of patience is mind-boggling. Ashley de Jaeger, thank you for that question. Lack of patience. The people are incredible. I mean, we're basically at $100,000 Bitcoin, and people are frustrated. Let's check on the Bitcoin price, see if there's any lag reaction. 98,400. Nothing much. Marinade, that's good. I don't actually own any Marinade, but I think the three best Sol alts from my perspective are Jupiter, Nosana, and Radium, because that's where all the money is made. That's where all the money's potentially going as well, and AI as well. Where can I buy Neptune? Neptune is an OTC desk. If you're in Canada, it's NDA is the ticker. .cn, and in United States, pink slip, OTC, it's NPPTF. I think, going from memory here. And who's the boy? The boy. Let's take a couple more questions, then we wrap up, so I could get back to work. Thoughts on Palantir? So Palantir, very good question, is one of those things that defies logic. It's kind of like XRP and Cardano. The guru-focused Palantir value is $19. And the trade's at a PE of like 536. But what's exciting about Palantir is if that's what they're valued at, and you got Tesla trading at a PE of around 40, it means Tesla is extremely undervalued too. So that's the positive one there too. Another MicroStrategy, Sol strategies, opportunity on the horizon. Keith Hyde, I always look for them. As soon as I find something very interesting, I jump in and I let you know real time on Patreon too. Ondo is one of those that is quite incredible. I covered Ondo in a Q&A. Tokenomics are not good. Is IA apologist? I need to publish my steps as well. And one more try. What about DXYZ for US-based exposure to SpaceX? The allocation isn't enough. Let me check on the DXYZ allocation. And the fees are high. I've checked them all. I checked the ARC one, etc. Destiny Tech Fund it is. Oh, they have about 34% in SpaceX. But again, it's the other stuff that I don't like in the fund. That's the problem. That's why I like Neptune, because the other stuff is good and you don't pay fees. So, H-bar, that's an interesting one. Not my cup of tea. And they don't publish their data like all the other chains. So we'll see. I don't like them for many reasons. I've made many videos on them as well. Thank you, Sean Donnelly, as well. Shall we abandon helium? I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a long time. Zeus, that's Marty's favorite. It's still so small. They're not quite doing the type of stuff that I'd imagined. And we'll see. MicroStrategy is interesting. Again, he said he didn't buy. I think he didn't buy because he said he's hodling. I think he didn't buy because he's in the quiet period before earnings where you're not allowed to buy. He has issued a bunch of the preferred stock. So he has a big bag of cash, and he did ATM, I think, Monday and Tuesday last week, going by the charts I was looking at. So he will be buying as soon as the earnings are over. So expect a big bid coming in on Bitcoin to the tune of $500 million at least. I was all happy with Sol at 218 bucks. Yeah, that's crazy because Solana was at 218 a few hours ago. Not even. But that's just it. Just play the volatility and have fun. Be safe out there. Don't get liquidated ever. Free plan. Yes. If you're on the free plan, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I actually have a Helium phone. It's a burner. I have it with my Saga or the Solana phone as well. What's with GSOL? Anything grayscale, any grayscale Sol fund is garbage. Just remember that. They do not run good funds. Are we still retiring on 400 Sol? Well, Van Eck believes Sol will go to 3,200, and there's another firm that came out. I think it's part of the Multicoin Capital. They say it go to 6,000. So, to give that a haircut, Sol's going to 2,000. 400 Sol is 800 grand. So, not bad. Not bad at all. PayPal is old technology. I don't like old technology. I like new disruptive technology. Memes are memes. Memes are very dangerous. Does Jupiter have leveraged Sol token to trade PTS? Yes. Within Jupiter, you can just tweak it. So, like you can pick any amount. Let me see. Yeah, if I pop it open now, you'll see my Jupiter, which is weird. Anyway, I did give an update, Amir, a very big update. I update everything. Doesn't America already have a Bitcoin reserve from Silk Road? Yes, they have, I think, 200,000 Bitcoin or something. They are one of the biggest hodlers on Earth. And hopefully that'll be rolled into the Bitcoin reserve for the US as well. Unless, of course, they have to give it back to Silk Road too. And do you think Sol gets to 1,000 2025? No, I don't. That would be crazy. Wormhole? Yeah, Wormhole apparently is doing RWA stuff with BlackRock. Lots of articles on that. So we'll see. And Render, NOS and Render, I own them both still. And they both work together. So we'll see. We've got to wait for that whole space to come back. As narratives go, it's not going well right now. The narrative is still like store of value, centralized exchanges that are doing well. Nice. Marley, if Sol gets to 500, I can retire. Good. It might be a while. I do see us getting to 300 plus 360. Easy. What does David Sachs talk? He said they will be investing in a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And that's it. Sol target for 2025, 360 at least. Maybe higher. But I always sandbag stuff as well. Will you long Sol? If Jim Cramer says anything positive about an asset, that's when you short it. Because he is perfectly right inversely all of the time. So, final question, then I'll go. Going to buy Stark, forgot about crypto till 2028. Stark is the new MicroStrategy dividend stock, and it pays, I think, 8 or 10%. That will be available at the end of the month. I think that'll be an interesting one to look at too. I don't like Coinbase shares. I don't like Coinbase. Never did. Never will. And thank you again to Sean Donnelly and TNT Tesla and everybody else. ETH target. I don't look at ETH. ETH is it's old technology. Be with the new technology, everybody. Don't cling on to old stuff. And MicroStrategy target's a function of Bitcoin. I did a video on that about a week or two ago with all those targets for the portfolio. All right, everybody. I gotta go. I'm running out of steam. And just look at the data of Ethereum. Look at the relative value. So Solana now earns nearly 3 times the money. It has nearly 10 times the users. And Base is a private chain that does a lot of the activity on ETH on a layer 2 basis. It just doesn't make any sense. It's completely overvalued, So that's it. Be with the new technology. Always be on the new technology and be in it before it actually pumps. That's so important as well. Jim, thank you so much, everybody. You take care of yourselves. Sorry about the nothing burger, but you can't say it wasn't expected. So I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll do an early morning octa. So be ready for that. It'll be very interesting. Thanks all. Have a good night.